Alex Savage live there in San Francisco. Alex, thank you. Joining us now in studio, KTVU political analyst Joe Tuman. Joe, thanks for joining us. Clinton's big vulnerability is that most Americans, according to polls, just don't find her honest or trustworthy. Why hide this pneumonia diagnosis? They had the coughing fits, kind of rubbed it off as allergies, and now all of a sudden, this new week, we're finding it's pneumonia.
Well, let's remember a couple of things. Although she is running for office, which makes her a public person, and we want to know who we're voting for, most people don't talk about their health issues with other people, and so there's a natural inclination that you have to be reserved about this. But remember also, in the context of this political race, this isn't just a competition, it's blood sport, and any sign of weakness that you show is an advantage for your opponent. If Mr. Trump had a similar kind of frailty, I can pretty much guarantee you that he would not disclose it unless he was forced to. In the history of our presidential elections, by the way, it's been very common to have candidates get sick. A lot of people remember that John F. Kennedy was revealed to have some illnesses, but they forget that Richard Nixon, headed into that first presidential debate back in 1960, had actually spent time in the hospital for gout. And then I went to do the first presidential debate, and when he saw Kennedy, who was tan from being in California, offered makeup, and Kennedy refused it, Nixon said, "I don't want any either." And he'd spent time in the hospital, and he looked pale and sick, and most people who watched that debate on television thought that Nixon lost because of how he looked. People who listened to him on radio thought he won.
I don't think it's a crime to be sick, but is it a crime? I mean, should she not reveal medical records? That's kind of the following. I mean, Trump this morning did say on Fox,
now he says it's going to.
Now he says in regards to after the story breaks.
Yeah,
should they both reveal their records?
I think it's ultimately a decision that every individual has to make, but it's not an irrelevant issue. Let's put it this way: someone's health. The presidency, if you look at recent presidents as examples of this, is a highly stressful job. And even Barack Obama, as youthful looking as he was, after the first 4 years, he'd aged more than 4 years in that time.
We've watched them age. And you know, you mentioned, you brought up a good point. I mean, the race for presidency is grueling. I mean, who knows how much they're sleeping and the demands on them. So that doesn't seem to be surprising, as you said, that they got sick. Is it surprising, the reaction that they're going after, like Mike said, that, oh, it's another indication that she's not honest?
Well, I think the people that don't like Hillary Clinton have already decided how they're going to vote, and they will probably interpret almost anything that she does as more evidence that reinforces their view of her, unfortunately for her. And by the way, I would make a similar claim for people who don't like Donald Trump. Anything he says probably will be treated equally. But I should also say, by the way, to your point about running for office, and let me speak for a moment as somebody who ran for office. I ran twice. First time I ran, I lost 17 pounds in that election, and not on purpose. I did it because you're going from one meeting to the next. You get very little sleep. My wife had to yell at my campaign manager to carry food in the car when he was driving me around because I wasn't eating, and it wasn't because I didn't want to. It was literally no time. Now, that was running for mayor of a city. Imagine if you scale up to running for the presidency of a country of several hundred million people with everybody around the world watching you. It's surprising that more people don't get walking pneumonia, frankly, in this environment. It's really, really hard. And I would hope that people, even if they want to see her cynically as not being honest, also have some empathy for the fact that running for office like this is hard. It doesn't give her a pass on it, but it's very difficult.
But it's crunch time now. With 8 weeks to go, we've got the debate 2 weeks away. I mean, if you're advising her campaign right now, do you tell her just to stay inside and not travel the country?
I would tell her to listen to her doctor for a couple of weeks, because ultimately, your health is more important than this job in the end. But also, if she wants to be on her best in 2 weeks for the first presidential debate, then she doesn't want to follow the lesson of Richard Nixon I was telling you about before, showing up and trying to go at it when you're not looking your best. You want to rest up and be ready to go. And honestly, if she's not able to do that debate, then maybe her campaign should reach out to the Commission on Presidential Debates and ask about the possibility of shifting dates or something.
I just think the story goes away if if Trump and Clinton say, here are the medical records, you guys sit in a conference room, and they find nothing, and it goes bye-bye.
With you, but I would say, though, in our country, I mean, health records in particular are something that people are usually a little more careful about or discreet about. But having said that, if both sides do it, then there's no advantage.
And really quick, we have to go, but do you think it hurts her campaign if she does sit out for 2 weeks before the debate to rest up?
Well, it will reinforce the appearance of her not being around, and perhaps that sort of extend the questions about her illness. On the other hand, if she continues to appear and has another episode like yesterday, that video was very damaging. I won't say damaging. It was not helpful to her point that I'm healthy and ready to go. If more of those things happen, it can do more damage than a poor debate performance. So I think it's important for her to get some rest.
Joe, thank you.
Okay.
talk another 5 minutes, and that's why it is our question of the day. This story, is the health of the candidates an issue that should be discussed during the campaign? You can let us know what you think by posting a comment on the KTVU Facebook page. You can also tweet us. Just make sure to use that hashtag KTVU.
It's an interesting topic.